Very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya television, the perfect show to kickstart your day, bringing you the top national, international sports and business news. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the headlines. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister meets a Home Minister in Delhi, says violence in the state has come down significantly. Centre's newly appointed representative in Kashmir also meets the Chief Minister. "349 candidates left in the fray after withdrawal of candidature for Himachal Pradesh elections. Polls to 68-member assembly to be held on 9th of November. Rajasthan Assembly passes bill to raise reservation for other backward classes from 21% to 26%. Bill opposed by the Congress. Karnataka cabinet clears the state policy for transgenders, aims to bring community into mainstream, include them in efforts to promote literacy. And the US government releases several thousand files on the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy, some files withheld on national security grounds. Our top stories from Jammu and Kashmir. Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti met Home Minister Rajnath Singh in the national capital on Thursday. After the meeting, the Chief Minister said that the violence in the state has come down significantly. The hour-long meeting was also attended by senior officials of the Home Ministry and the Jammu and Kashmir government. The meeting was called by the Home Minister to discuss the over 80,000 crore rupee development package announced by the Prime Minister. The Home Ministry later said that the government has decided to fast-track projects under Prime Minister's development program. Meanwhile, the centre's newly appointed special representative for Jammu and Kashmir, Dineshwar Sharma, also met with the Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti. He discussed the broad contours of the proposed talks with all the stakeholders. Remember, this meeting comes 2 days after the centre announced his appointment. Now, Sharma is likely to begin his maiden visit to the valley next week in his new role.
मुझे पता है कि कश्मीर घाटी में भी उसका स्वागत किया जा रहा है और इससे कश्मीर की वर्तमान स्थिति में सुधार लाने में सरकार को काफ़ी सहायता मिलेगी। नहीं, जो बात करने के लिए आगे आएंगे उनसे बात होगी, जो बात नहीं करना चाहेंगे उनको कौन जबरदस्ती करेगा।
And more news from Jammu and Kashmir. NIA searches were carried at the residence of Hizbul Mujahideen chief Sayyid Salahuddin's son in Budgam in central Kashmir on Thursday. Now, the investigating agency seized phones, laptops and other documents from his residence. Shahid Yusuf was arrested by the NIA 3 days back for allegedly receiving funds from overseas for subversive activities in the Kashmir Valley. He is presently in custody of the agency for 7 days. Now, according to NIA, 42-year-old Shahid, who works in the Agricultural Department of Jammu and Kashmir government, has given the names of overseas Hizbul Mujahideen members who are involved in fundraising for the terrorist organization.
भारत सरकार ने जैसे एक अधिकारी को मनोनीत किया है दिनेश्वर शर्मा जी के रूप में बातचीत की और चर्चा को आगे निरंतर बढ़ाने के लिए, उसके साथ NIA या आतंकवादी विरोधी ऑपरेशंस का कोई संबंध नहीं है। कई वर्षों के बाद, कई दशकों के बाद एक निर्णायक कार्रवाई देखने को मिल रही है कश्मीर घाटी में आतंकवादियों के प्रति, आतंकवादियों के समर्थकों के प्रति।
On to some other news now. The NIA has filed a charge sheet against Zakir Naik in a hate speech and indictment case. Now, the controversial preacher has been accused of spreading hatred by his provocative speeches, funding terrorists, as well as laundering several crores of rupees over the years. The 51-year-old, who is currently abroad, is being probed under terror and money laundering charges by the NIA. He fled from India in July 2016 after terrorists in Bangladesh claimed that they were inspired by his speeches. The NIA had on 18th of November last year registered a case against Naik at its Mumbai branch under various sections of the Indian Penal Code and the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. His Mumbai-based NGO Islamic Research Foundation has already been declared an unlawful association by the Union Home Ministry. And on to news on assembly elections. Now, 349 candidates have been left in the fray for the assembly elections to Himachal Pradesh. This after the last day for the withdrawal of candidature ended on Thursday. Elections to the 68-member assembly will take place on 9th of November. The ruling Congress and the opposition BJP have fielded candidates from all the 68 seats, while the CPIM is contesting on 16 seats. 4 cornered contests are on the cards in 22 constituencies, while 5 cornered contests will be witnessed in 14 constituencies. Now, there are 9 seats for which there will be 6 cornered contests, and for 6 constituencies, 7 candidates are in the fray. The counting of votes will take place on 18th of December. Next story from Rajasthan, where the State Assembly has passed a bill to raise the reservation of other backward classes from 21% to 26%. The bill was passed with a voice vote. The Rajasthan Backward Classes Bill 2017 proposes 5% increase in OBC quota. It was tabled during the monsoon session in the wake of widespread agitation by the Gujar community demanding reservation under OBC category. Now, the bill raises reservation for Gujars and 4 other backward communities in Rajasthan from 21% to 26% that were earlier grouped as the special backward classes. Now, introducing the bill, Rajasthan Social Justice and Empowerment Minister said that as the population of backward classes in the state is estimated by the State Backward Classes Commission to be about 52%, this, he said, warrants the increase in the reservation. The bill was, however, opposed by the opposition Congress, which accused the government of deceiving Gujars. News from down south, the Karnataka State Assembly has cleared the state policy for transgenders 2017. Now, this is aimed at bringing the community into the mainstream of the society and provide its members with a secured life. Now, according to the State Law and Parliamentary Affairs Minister, the policy had been drafted in compliance with the Supreme Court's order. Different categories of transgenders have been mentioned in this policy, and the aim is to create awareness about the transgender community in all the educational institutions of the state. Also, reaching out to the family members through Anganwadi workers to sensitize them about the transgender people, bring into place a monitoring committee or cell at the educational institutions to address the issues of discrimination, sexual abuse and violence against transgenders is included in the policy. The policy also moves defining the indicators for a friendly policy and to include the community in Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, right to education, and the similar efforts to promote literacy. On to news from West Bengal now. The death toll due to dengue there has risen to 36 this year. Over 20,000 people have been tested positive for the vector-borne disease. Now, according to West Bengal Director of Health Services, the number of dengue deaths might go up in the coming days. Most of the dengue cases have been reported from districts like Havra, Hooghly, North 24 Parganas districts, South Damdam and South 24 Parganas. On to some other news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a 2-day visit to Mussoorie. On the first day of his visit on Thursday, Prime Minister Modi held an interaction with the IAS officer trainees of the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration. He asked them to research governance issues in depth for better understanding. He held an interaction with over 360 officer trainees of the 92nd Foundation course a day ahead of his address to them. During the 4-hour interaction in 4 groups, a variety of subjects such as administration, governance, technology and policy making came up. The Prime Minister urged the officer trainees to express their ideas and thoughts to him frankly and without fear. Prime Minister Modi also stressed on the need for them to develop a national vision. The Prime Minister also interacted with the faculty members of the Academy. Today, the Prime Minister will take part in a yoga session with the probationers and Kendriya Vidyalaya students at the Academy. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday inaugurated a 2-day international conference on consumer protection in the South, Southeast and East Asian nations. While inaugurating the meet in the national capital, he stressed that consumer protection was in line with the government's resolve of building a new India. About 20 countries are participating in the event, including China, Singapore, South Korea, and also neighbors Bangladesh and Sri Lanka.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday said that consumer protection is an inseparable part of governance. He also said that a new law to protect consumers is on the anvil, with stricter provisions against misleading advertisements. While inaugurating a global conference on consumer protection in New Delhi, Modi also claimed that consumer protection has been mentioned in the Vedas.
उपभोक्ता के हितों का ध्यान इस सरकार की प्राथमिकताओं में से एक प्रमुख अंग है। सरकार की ये प्राथमिकता न्यू इंडिया के संकल्प के साथ भी पूरी तरह जुड़ी हुई है। न्यू इंडिया जहां कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन से आगे बढ़कर बेस्ट कंज्यूमर प्रैक्टिसेस और कंज्यूमर प्रॉस्पेरिटी की भी बात को हम बल दे रहे हैं। साथियों, हम आज की देश की जरूरतों को, आज के व्यापारिक तौर तरीकों को अगर ध्यान में रखते हुए एक नया कंज्यूमर प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट ऑलरेडी प्रोसेस में हम बना रहे हैं। नए कानून में कंज्यूमर एम्पावरमेंट पर विशेष जोर दिया जा रहा है।
The Prime Minister further said that consumer protection is among the government's key priorities, adding that it had recently enacted the Goods and Services Tax, which is bringing in a new business culture across the country. He also highlighted the programs launched by the government in the last 3 years to empower consumers.
जीएसटी से देश को एक नया बिजनेस कल्चर मिल रहा है और लॉन्ग टर्म में जीएसटी का सबसे बड़ा फायदा कंज्यूमर्स को ही होने वाला है। मध्यम वर्ग, निम्न वर्ग, गरीब, जिसका अज्ञान का लाभ उठाया जाता था, जैसे जैसे लोगों को इसकी जानकारी मिलती जाएगी, ग्राहक जागरूक होता जाएगा और कहीं पर भी अब कोई उसका चीटिंग नहीं कर पाएगा। एक पारदर्शी व्यवस्था है जिसमें कोई कंज्यूमर्स के हितों के साथ खिलवाड़ नहीं कर पाएगा।
This is the first time that an international conference on consumer protection is being organized by India. The two-day meet will discuss steps taken by the Asian countries to implement United Nations guidelines on consumer protection. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And we'll take a very short break, but before that, take a look at these Chhath festivities. The Chhath Puja celebration that began on Thursday evening ends today, with the devotees paying obeisance to the setting sun and the rising sun for sustaining life on earth. The Chhath Puja is mainly celebrated in northern parts of India, where thousands of devotees throng river banks carrying wicker baskets filled with fruits and offerings to the sun god. We slip into a short break with the glimpses of this festival. We'll be back with more news.
Hemkund Sahib, Shrine of the Sikhs, widely acclaimed for being the highest in the world, located in the Himalayas at an altitude of 15,200 feet. The Gurudwara is designed with an image of an upside-down lotus flower.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has said that the country must skill its young population not only for economic benefit but also for social reasons. He was addressing the inaugural session of a skill development center at a Swarn Bharat Trust in Hyderabad. Here are the details.
Addressing a gathering of young trainees in Hyderabad, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu called on the youth to acquire skills to become proficient in skills that generate employment and said that skilled youth is an asset for a country like India.
మొదటి నుంచి ఆఖరి వరకు కోర్సు మనకు ఉచితంగా ఇస్తున్నారు. ఎక్కడైనా కోర్సులు పెడతారు, ర్యాక్ కాదు ఇవన్నీ, కానీ డబ్బు ఆర్థిక శక్తి అందరికీ లేదు. కానీ ఇక్కడ స్వర్ణ భారత ప్రత్యేకత ఏంటంటే 45 రోజులు 90 రోజులు నీకు శిక్షణ, నీకు వసతి, నీకు భోజనం, నీకు మార్గదర్శనం అన్నీ ఉచితంగా ఇచ్చి నువ్వు వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు నువ్వేదైనా సొంతంగా చేసుకుంటానంటే ఆంధ్ర బ్యాంకు నీకు లోన్ ఇస్తారని చెప్పడం అవుతుందో ఇలాంటి అవకాశం చాలా అరుదైంది. అందుకని
Naidu, along with Telangana Deputy Chief Minister Mahmood Ali, inaugurated a skill development course in CCTV and optic fibre with L&T and heavy vehicle driving on simulated training with Gati in Swarn Bharat Trust in Hyderabad. While delivering the inaugural speech, the Vice President called on the private sector to create opportunities for training and skill development.
ఉపదేశంలో ఆకలితో అలమటించేవాళ్ళు, ఆర్థిక అసమానతలతో సతమతమయ్యేవాళ్ళు, సాంఘిక వివక్షతో బాధపడేవాళ్ళు, వైద్యం అందకుండా పోయేవాళ్ళు, విద్యకు దూరంగా ఉన్నవాళ్ళు ఉంటే అది అభివృద్ధి చెందిన శక్తివంతమైన దేశం అనిపించుకోదు. అందుకని దానిపైన అందరూ కూడా దృష్టి పెట్టాల్సి ఉంది. కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వం దృష్టి పెడుతుంది, రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వం దృష్టి పెడుతుంది. అయితే అన్ని పనులు ప్రభుత్వమే చేయాలనుకోకుండా మనం కూడా మన వంతు కర్తవ్యాన్ని చేయాలి. అందుకని ప్రభుత్వ ప్రైవేటు భాగస్వామ్యం ఉండాలి, పబ్లిక్ ప్రైవేట్ పార్ట్నర్షిప్.
Naidu also expressed concern over very low penetration of health insurance at individual levels in the country and said that health expenditure borne by households is out of the reach for poor families. He also asked the private sector to extend their support in extending basic health care and insurance for employees. Raj Kamal's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
An Information and Broadcasting Minister Smriti Irani said on Thursday that the responsibility of a public broadcaster is to speak fairly and without fear. Irani stressed that approach to broadcasting must be defined as a service to the public.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Smriti Irani delivered the Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture in the National Capital on Thursday. The theme of the lecture was Model of Broadcast Landscape for Democracies. The minister said that public service broadcasting has the responsibility to provide services to the public comprised of many individuals with varied linguistic cultures. She stressed that public service broadcasting is obligated responsibly in all news and current affairs programming as an essential service to the public.
That if you want to service democracy, one of the biggest services that we can give as broadcasters is to give the news, but not with that added element of drama, so that we underline for the consumer that news can only be interesting if it has a controversy attached to it. And hence, if we want to give a model template of engaging through information with our citizens, it is incumbent upon us to be responsible as news givers, responsible as those who disseminate information in the wider interest of the country.
She also asserted that with the Digital India program, public broadcasters can transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy.
All India Radio के technological interfaces हमें बताते हैं कि जितनी हमारी listenership है उनमें से awareness level of understanding the message of the Prime Minister and then impacting their lives have actually reached over 61%. How many of us envisaged that this is what technology can help deliver to the broadcasting sector?
MOS INB Rajyavardhan Singh Rathore, Prasar Bharati Chairman A. Surya Prakash and Prasar Bharati Chief Executive Officer Shashi Shekhar Vempati were also present on the occasion. All India Radio hosts annual Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture as a mark of respect to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, India's first Information and Broadcasting Minister. The lectures started in 1955 and was delivered by C. Rajagopalachari. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, let's get you some international news now. The US government has released several thousand files on the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy, but withheld others on national security grounds. In a statement on Thursday, the U.S. National Archives has said that it had released 2,891 records related to the 22nd of November 1963 killing of Kennedy in Dallas, Texas. Now, citing potential irreversible harm to the national security, U.S. President Donald Trump said that he has no choice but to restrain some 300 files. He has placed those files under a 6-month review while letting 2,800 others come out, racing to a deadline to honor a law mandating their release. The 1992 law mandating release of the JKF documents states that all the files shall be publicly disclosed in full within 25 years unless the president certifies that continued postponement is made necessary by an identifiable harm to the military defense, intelligence operations, law enforcement or conduct of foreign relations. The law, however, doesn't allow the president to hold some records back. News from Spain now. Well, Catalonia is bracing for a Spain takeover. This after backers and opponents of independence in Catalonia clashed in parliament over the way forward. In a heated meeting in Catalan parliament on Thursday evening, MPs struggled to find a consensus over their next move. Catalan President Carles Puigdemont did not reveal a favoured course of action, and he called on the MPs to decide on a response. This as he backed away from a plan to call new elections to break the deadlock between the central government and the separatists. Puigdemont had been expected to announce an election in order to counter Madrid's moves to take direct control of autonomous Catalonia.
Saben que he estat disposat a convocar aquestes eleccions sempre i quan es donessin unes garanties que permetessin la seva celebració en absoluta normalitat. No hi ha cap d'aquestes garanties.
And today Madrid has scheduled a vote in the Spanish Senate in which the members will decide whether to suspend Catalonia's autonomy under Article 155 of the Constitution and put it under Madrid's control. Now, if this article is invoked, Spain would take control of Catalonia's finances, police, public media, and new regional elections will be held. The developments come after Catalonia's independence referendum on 1st of October. Now, Madrid slammed this referendum as illegal, but Catalan leaders took the results as a mandate to declare a split from the country.
Pedimos su autorización para trabajar por la normalidad, para trabajar por la tolerancia, para trabajar por la buena convivencia, para trabajar por la concordia, para trabajar por la democracia.
Now an update on Kenya elections, and the poll closed in a presidential election rerun, and the polling stations began counting of votes on Thursday at the end of a tense day with a low voter turnout. Kenyan opposition supporters skirmished with the police and they threw up burning barricades in the pockets of the country on Thursday, seeking to derail President Uhuru Kenyatta's likely re-election after opposition leader Raila Odinga called on supporters to boycott the poll. Meanwhile, the Election Commission said that the majority of polls had opened, but voting would be delayed until 28th of October in 4 of Kenya's 47 counties, all in the opposition, supporting West due to security challenges. As the voting headed to a close, police and hospital sources confirmed that 3 people had been shot dead and at least 24 others were wounded, 11 of them by live rounds.
The Commission is keenly following the security situation and continues its consultations on the same, and we have made a determination that in areas affected, which include the following counties, Homa Bay, Kisumu, Migori and Shire, and in accordance with Section 55B of the Elections Act and Regulation 64A of the General Regulations, the Commission has postponed elections in those areas to Saturday, the 28th October this week.
And the United States has announced new sanctions on North Korea. The US Treasury Department issued new sanctions on 7 individuals and 3 entities connected to the North Korean regime. Now, the sanctions are in response to a State Department report on human rights abuses by the Kim Jong-un regime. The sanctions freeze any property or interest in property within US jurisdiction and generally prohibit the transactions by the US citizens with any of the sanctioned individuals or groups. Among the sanctioned entities are the government of North Korea and the Workers' Party of Korea. Other sanctioned parties include North Korean diplomats, military security officers and officials with state-owned construction companies. The actions come even as the US is pressing on the regime to end its nuclear weapons testing and missile launchings. And on to some sports news now. FIFA on Thursday lauded India for delivering a hugely successful Under-17 World Cup. Now, addressing a press conference in Kolkata along with All India Football Federation President Praful Patel, FIFA head of competitions Jim Yarza said that the infrastructure provided for the first ever FIFA tournament in India was world-class. He also added that all the teams were happy with the organization. Yarza further added that the FIFA Under-17 tournament has catapulted India to the global stage and it has shown that it is a footballing country. While AIFF President Praful Patel said that India has also made the bid for the 2019 FIFA Under-20 World Cup and he will present the country's case when he addresses the FIFA Council to be held today in Kolkata. And in more sports news, India lost to Australia in the high-scoring encounter in the 4th match of the 7th Sultan of Johor Cup at Tamandaya Hockey Stadium in Malaysia. Ace Indian player Dilpreet Singh and Sanjay scored a goal for India, while Joel Rintala, Bobby Green and Jonathan Breathton as well as Nathan Forrest scored for Australia. Australia defeated India 4-3. India will now face Britain in their 5th match on Saturday. News from the world of badminton now. Saina Nehwal crashed out of the ongoing French Open Super Series tournament in Paris while PV Sindhu advanced into the quarter-finals. Now, former world number 1 Saina Nehwal lost in straight games to Japanese 5th seed Akane Yamaguchi 9-21, 21-23. This is Saina Nehwal's 2nd loss within a fortnight. Earlier, Saina Nehwal had lost to Yamaguchi in the quarterfinals at Odense. Meanwhile, Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu stormed into the quarterfinals. Sindhu defeated Japan's Sayaka Takahashi 21-14, 21-13. She will now face China's Chen Yufei. And it was a disappointing day for India as the country on Thursday had a bad day in the ongoing ISSF Shooting World Cup in New Delhi as ace Indian pistol shooter Jeetu Rai and Pooja Khatakar failed to qualify for the final. Jeetu Rai, fresh from his gold medal in the air pistol mixed event along with Hina Sindhu, could not make it to the final of the men's 10 meters air pistol. Jeetu Rai has been placed on the 9th position. And in the women's 10 meters air rifle, Pooja Khatkar also finished 9th and she also failed to make it to the final. And that's it from me and my team in this edition of news. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day ahead.